Hello and welcome to Guitarist Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.guitarist.com. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston. My great pleasure to be speaking with guitarist Parker Halub from the band Wings of Steel. And I got to tell you, Parker, when your publicist contacted me and sent me the little press release on the band, the immediate thing I took notice of was the band's name. I thought for a metal band, it's really cool, original sounding. Talk a little bit about how you came up with that.
Well, man, that's a great question. So, the thing is nowadays, everybody, because of the internet, no matter what band name you come up with,
it's
somebody
taken.
out there, somebody's taken. So, what we've kind of seen over with a lot of more modern, newer bands that come up is, we have all these long,
names. Yeah.
Really, multiple words and the problem with that too is because everything's online.
Yeah.
It's harder to type, and there's more room for error, and so on and so forth. So me and Leo, when we got this whole thing started, it took us the band name didn't come immediately.
Yeah.
We spent all this time trying to figure out this. No, this isn't it. So eventually I think the way that we came up with the name is we wrote the song Wings of Steel.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we're kind of just we weren't even going to call the song Wings of Steel, but I was looking through the lyrics and I was like, all right, now let's call it that. And I think it was a week or two after that, and me and Leo were just hanging out and talking, and it's like Wings of Steel is not a bad name. After that it kind of just stuck. And
what I dig about it after listening to the entire EP, for the type of band you guys are, it's really simple, kind of explains what you are. I mean, immediately this was funny. Just hearing the name before I even heard the EP, I thought, okay, it's going to be like an old school metal type of band, and that's kind of exactly what it is. And so who else is in the band? You mentioned Leo. I know it's kind of you and the singer Leo, but do you guys have a backing band, or do you play everything on the album?
So on the EP, the entire band is I did all the guitars and the bass, and then little tiny synths and stuff like that. Leo did all the vocals, and then we had a guy by the name of Mike.
Okay.
He did all of the drums and everything. So, and when we go play live, he will be our drummer. As for the rest of the band, we're still courting some people, getting all that sorted out, but we will have, obviously we'll have a full lineup when we go play live.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, and I'm glad you mentioned Mike, because one thing in listening to the EP is that powerhouse drumming that's featured throughout the entire EP.
Yeah. I mean, he's an animal. That's
And what I love about the EP, okay, it starts off with the great metal track Storm Child, and I listened to the first two tracks, and which is Storm Child and Wings of Steel, as you mentioned, and so by the time I listened to the first two tracks, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I was right. This is an old school metal band, and I'm starting to think, you know what? I kind of get what the sound of this band is. I'm kind of getting this band's vibe, but then by track 3, you go and kind of throw me for a loop, and you do something a little different, and that's what I really dug about the entire 5-song EP, because it's a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that was the the whole idea with this EP is we kind of wanted to showcase all the different aspects of our sound, because obviously it's rooted in the straight up no bullshit heavy metal, but it's also a lot of blues influence, and some kind of Spanish guitar influence in there. I mean, there's all sorts of shit. So we hope with it's hard to do it with just 5 songs. I mean, some bands you go and release 5 albums and they still have more to say, but
yeah. I mean,
it's that was the whole idea, was to kind of showcase the range of things.
You said it on these 5 songs, I gotta say, and talking about kind of going for a different sound, probably that is really apparent on the 3rd track, Rhythm of Desire. I wrote down most different sounding songs so far on the EP. I kind of described it as metal with a bluesy twist. People can even imagine.
Yep, that's pretty spot on right there, man.
I mean, were you at all influenced by the blues growing up?
Well, yeah. I mean, personally myself, I have a lot of, I have a pretty damn good amount of blues influence, but Leo especially, man, that's where he's totally rooted in the blues. So it was, I think that track, it was a great, it was a great kind of, ended up being a great blend of, our kind of heaviness, but at the same time, it's got that bluesiness and it's got that nuance to it.
Yeah, because definitely, you listen to the first two tracks, which may be my favorite ones, but again, I love the Rhythm Desire, but Storm Child and Wings of Steel to me, kind of, if you're a metal fan, kind of old school metal, like it kind of reminds me. It sounds strange saying this, kind of a cross between Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, maybe a little bit of Manowar. Any of those influences as far as growing up with those bands?
Oh, I mean, absolutely, man. And it's it's good that you bring that up because when it comes to influences, when we say old school 70s, 80s heavy metal, I mean that's really about as specific as we can get. Obviously there was some. You can kind of hear the Iron Maiden and the Priest in there, like the Whitesnake, but I mean, the reality is it's not like, we have so many influences that kind of goes into it, because it's hard to pinpoint it. But
here's the thing, Parker, that's what I was getting ready to say, is that, although I can kind of hear those influences coming through on those two songs, but at the same time, as strange as this sounds to say, I can hear your influences coming out in the music, but at the same time, you've got something fresh and original with this band. I mean, you do not sound like every metal band out there. You've kind of got your influences coming through, but you got your own thing going at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty spot on, and I think the philosophy that me and Leo had, going into this is, we didn't want to try to be an old school 80s whatever.
And that's just it, yeah.
We didn't try to fit into a genre. We just write the music that we like, and at the end of the day, that means that all of the influences that we have individually as musicians come through in the music. But at the end of the day, it creates something that's really unique, and to us, it's this is the shit. This is what we want to do.
Yeah, and again, I can't really say it any more than to say like mission accomplished with that, because when I'm reading the press release initially about the band, and I'm looking at the band's name, and even by the time I've heard the first two tracks on the EP, I have a certain image of what this band is about. I'm getting the vibe, or so I think. And by track 3, I'm thrown for a curve, and I'm like, wow, this band can do a whole lot of things. It kind of left me like wanting more, that's really my only complaint here with this EP. It's also good. It left me wanting more. I wish it would have been a full length, but I see why you had to get this out there, and kind of make people aware of the band. But that's the only thing I can really say, but it just left me wanting more.
Awesome, man. Well, don't worry, man. We got it's you can't rush, perfection.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we will have we've got a lot of music that hasn't been released, and we have a lot of music that's in the works. So realistically, we will have a full length coming out sometime pretty soon. I can't give you an exact.
I got you. But, well, this is enough. These 5 tracks, I think, will whet any true-blooded metal fans' appetite. And again, very much like myself, leave them wanting more, which is always a good thing. Now, have you guys played out live at all since you got together?
So not as Wings of Steel. No, there was actually right when me and Leo got started, the school that we were at did a little battle of the bands.
Okay.
So we did that. That was back pre-pandemic, actually.
Yeah. And is that how you?
That was a while ago, and that was before we were even Wings of Steel.
Is that how you and Leo first hooked up? Through school.
Yeah. That's where we met.
And
it was kind of cool. We were the only 2 rocker guys cruising around, so it was just like.
We need to get together, yeah. So you kind of felt like, I don't know, the odd couple with all these other musicians doing other types of music, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what an amazing partnership to just through going to school there, hooking up with somebody. And I understand that when you guys first got together, your studio was some basement or something, and you kind of turned it into a studio.
Yeah, okay, that's great, man. So a little backstory for that. So actually, when we met, we were the school we were at in Hollywood. So we lived in Hollywood for a bit, and then COVID hit, and we're paying rent, and it's like, why the fuck are we doing this? Because I'm originally from Thousand Oaks, which is kind of a suburb here in LA.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so my parents are out here, and they have they renovated our backyard back in I don't remember, like 2007 or 2008, and they dug out. There was a bomb shelter that was buried.
Oh, wow.
The house was built in the 60s during the Cuban Missile Crisis, whatever.
Wow.
And a lot of the houses in the area where it's at, they have bomb shelters. But anyways, one of the previous owners had filled it in. They redid the backyard. They dug it out. So they cleaned out all the shit. But it's basically this empty 10 by 10 concrete box, 10 feet underground, and it was just sitting there collecting rainwater.
Wow.
So me and Leo came out here during COVID, and we did some put foam up on the walls and kind of made it so that we could record and play in there, and that's basically where all the majority of the tracking and the writing for this EP is where it happened. So nothing too significant, but it's kind of cool to say, hey, we wrote heavy metal in a fucking bomb shelter.
I bet, yeah. In a home built studio. I mean, that I was kind of laughing when I read that. Bomb shelter. I'm like, did I read that right? That's probably got to be a pretty cool story to ask him about.
Yeah.
And when you guys start writing, like, what's your typical approach? Does it usually start with him kind of doing his lyrics, or does it start with the guitar riff typically?
We don't cling to a certain doctrine of how to write a song. The song always writes itself, and it's I would a lot of times it starts with we can start with a riff because it's easy to do that, but sometimes there's a groove that sounds cool, or Leo's got this melody and we want to put chords around it, or it really we really just let it happen the way that the way that it does.
Yeah, well, you got a great approach. I mean, it seems like the chemistry is really there because, again, like all 5 tracks, just you kill it. And I wanted to ask about the song Kamzen's Riders. I mean, to me, it's kind of a great kind of ballad. I don't know if you call it, but as far as a metal ballad, it's there.
Yeah, I mean, that song is interesting because it's basically it's written like any other metal song, but we just kind of instrumented it with just the acoustic guitars.
Yeah,
it's kind of it's kind of seems to be the curveball of the 5 tracks, because it's all electric, okay, and then you get hit with that. It's like, what the fuck? But
yeah, and track 5 is kind of like that now. I don't know if it's just my ears playing. Which the song we're talking about is Blackout the Street. Now, to me, that's kind of a ballad type song. It's kind of got acoustic guitar sounds. I don't know if it's really acoustic guitars or.
Well, it's got that breakdown in there, which is definitely pretty ballady, but it's the rest of the song is pretty straightforward.
That's what I'm saying. I can't really call it a ballad. I don't know how to describe it, but it's got kind of acoustic sounds. Any acoustic guitar on that track?
No, actually, the only thing, there's some clean guitars in the breakdown. That's just an electric without distortion. So
great showing off of your guitar skills throughout the entire EP, which leads me to ask you, who are your guitar heroes growing up, as far as the guys that influenced you to do what you're doing?
Again, just like for the band, it's a long list, but let's see. John Sykes is awesome.
Oh, you can't go wrong with Sykes.
Whitesnake, Blue Murder. Neil Schon from Journey is awesome. Michael Schenker, UFO, MSG.
Yeah. Scorpions even.
Campbell.
Well, those are all great players, and what's amazing about all those guys you mentioned, I mean, some of them are not just great guitar players, but great songwriters, great singers. I mean, Sykes, I don't know that anybody knew until he put together Blue Murder, but he could even sing. But man, he's one of those guys that can kind of do it all.
Oh yeah, dude, he's a force of nature.
Yeah, and it's amazing. He's been rumored to be working on a new solo album for years. I don't know if it'll ever come out, but he's living off all those Whitesnake royalties, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, he wrote a lot of that great Whitesnake stuff, and I could see why you would be a fan of it.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean that's between me and Leo, actually, it was kind of funny when we first met. Blue Murder is even though they are pretty big, but it's definitely one of those bands that not everybody's heard of. So
it's essentially like one album. I mean, they did two, but it's just the first album that everybody talks about, kind of.
yeah. But I mean, it was kind of cool because right off the bat, I was like, hey man, like this guy knows who Blue Murder is. Of course, you must get along with
Yeah. And so, as far as the 5-song EP, which is self-titled Wings of Steel, can people get physical copies, like of a CD if they want, or is it just available digitally right now?
So it is. We just got all of our CDs, so we're currently in the process of trying to figure out how to distribute them to people.
Yeah.
Because we have, through our distribution service, they'll warehouse 5 at a time. So through that, I think right now there's like 5 of them available on Amazon.
Okay, yeah, that's why I was asking. I'm an old school guy myself. I love to kind of have a physical CD or whatever in my hand. I used to love to look at the artwork and read who wrote the songs and all of that and the liner notes. And so to me, I think a lot of kids these days are missing that experience of going to a record store like I did back in the day. And yes, folks, there used to be a place where you could go and buy music besides Amazon.com.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is. I think it's kind of funny because on one hand, for people my generation, CDs are kind of a merch item.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, too, and when we look at the age kind of demographic of the people who are listening to our stuff, a lot of them are part of the 50, that generation where CDs are in. So we've had it's kind of incredible. We've had more people ask us, for CDs than fucking T-shirts. So
yeah, it depends on the band, maybe, and the fans, but it goes either way. I mean, I just a guy recently interviewed. He was posting, Dave, that his latest single hit like 5K streams, and I mean that's kind of a new measurement as far as success goes. So that's kind of a new way they do it these days. But and it just kind of makes you think that that's the technology of today. What's it going to be like? Even a year to 5 years from now, what are we going to be doing?
Yeah, who knows, man? All we can do is navigate it as it comes. But the thing that won't change is 5-10 years down the line, we're still going to be making heavy metal kicking ass. So. And
so, do you guys have any plans for a music video or anything, or what's your plans as far as getting out to support this?
So things are up in the air, and unfortunately, being it's all DIY, so our budget we're at the mercy of what we can scrape together. So we're hoping to get a music video for one of the tracks off the EP. Because,
that would be cool. It really
but with nothing set in stone yet. If it happens, it'll be
And that's a kind of a double-edged thorn, Parker. I mean, as far as having to be willing to put all the money back into the band. I mean, on one front, it'd be cool if you had a label to help you guys push this. But since you're doing it yourself, if any money does come your way, it goes right straight to the band, as opposed to some label that's going to end up getting more money than what the band gets.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. It's funny you bring that up because we've had a couple smaller labels reach out to us and say, we'll give you this amount of money for this, and the reality is like being locked into a contract on somebody else's agenda. At the end of the day, it's only going to limit our creativity. So from our perspective, until we can find we can negotiate a deal that's in our favor and it's not going to hinder any of our creative vision, we're just going to keep doing it ourselves. I mean,
I just want to say, in listening to VP today, you guys are one of my favorite new bands, and I say that because I think maybe if you've been signed to a label, like you said, they might tell you, you guys are supposed to be a metal band. You got this bluesy kind of track on here. I think you could write something more metal. So
exactly.
I think it's cool that you get to kind of because you've really made a statement with this 5-song debut EP. I mean. Which, being a 5-track EP, is not always easy to do, but what I dig about it is you could release, I think, any of the 5 tracks as a single or a video, and people would dig it. I mean, they're just all that good. And what's amazing is they don't kind of all sound like each other, and yet the album flows real nice, I think.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, great. You know, to hear that from you, man, that means, you know, mission accomplished on our end.
Yeah, I mean that's what you should put, like, mission accomplished. I mean, because you've really, and I think that's one of the hardest things to do when a band is just coming out with their first piece of product, you know, album or EP, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of times they say, you know, you have a whole life to make that first album, because a lot of these songs maybe you've written years ago or just been waiting to find a spot for. But you really made the statement, so I can't wait to see what comes next.
Yeah, man, we can't wait to share what comes next.
And so I'm assuming, like a lot of folks, you're probably a working musician, meaning you know, you have a day job. This is the only thing you do.
Well, yeah, sort of. You know, it's I do like a little bit of you know, especially in work and teaching on the side, but you know, the reality is that's not a consistent source of income. So, you know, what I do is well, you know, I you know, thank God I have, you know, supportive parents who will put a roof over my head. So, you know, I can basically, you know, work on, you know, the music and the band full time, and you know, I don't have to worry about starving or anything like that. But,
that's cool. So, mom and dad being so supportive in that, I'm sure they've heard your music. What do they think of it?
Well, they're you know, obviously, you know, they're stoked on it, but it's you know, they're not I didn't get a lot of musical influence from them. They're not you know.
I guess what I'm asking, like, I'm sure they like kind of bragging rights, like they tell all their friends, like, hey, my son's in a band,
absolutely,
or listen to his song, you know. Yeah.
That absolutely.
And that's got to be a cool thing. Now, so you mentioned teaching. I'm assuming you give guitar lessons.
Yeah. You know, just here and there to you know, whoever, you know, if somebody, you know, I know or, you know, interested.
Yeah, and I got to ask, when you were first starting out, did you take lessons yourself, or would you consider yourself kind of a self-taught player?
I mean, that's a great question. I took lessons, but you know, it's kind of when people say like lessons and self-taught. I mean, the reality is you know, half of it is, you know, the teacher says, okay, you know, it teaches you how to, okay, here's this chord shape, and then, you know, yourself kind of playing around with it, you figure out, you know, how it works, and I hear this there. So I guess for a more straightforward answer, you know, yeah, I had lessons, but
because I mean, you know, sometimes you'd be amazed. I mean, like look at what a guy like Eddie Van Halen could do, and yet he couldn't read a lick of music. Not that that really matters, because I think it's more about the sound that comes out. But it just amazes people when they learn that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Parker, for taking time to talk to me. It was a great pleasure chatting it up with you today, and maybe down the line we could do it again. But you know, anytime you have anything to promote. But the interview will be going up about 2 weeks. I'll let your publicist know, and let's plan to do it again down the line. So best of luck with the new band and the EP, because I really think people should check it out. It's some of the greatest music I've heard in a long time.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
Okay, you take care, Parker. Bye-bye.
Chaotic Riff Magazine.